Oh, okay. Welcome back, guys, to another Dota 2 video where we're going to be discussing a few tricks. I don't know if I want to call them tricks, maybe glitches that, honestly, if Valve knew more people were using them or if just more people use them in general, they'd probably get fixed because they're pretty broken. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first trick that I want to show you is something that, like I mentioned in the intro, probably shouldn't work. It probably shouldn't function this way, but from a logic perspective, I can definitely understand why it was coded this way in the first place. So generally in Dota, when supports run around dewarding with sentry wards, they get the gold, right? They get a bunch of gold for that because it's kind of boring, and this incentivizes them playing the support role. This incentivizes them running around and making the map safe for their cores. However, there's a way for greedy core players to take even that gold away from support players, and the way you do it, we can see here, Lich in his inventory has a sentry ward. If I hover over it, there is no ownership on this so far. It doesn't say owned by Lich or Heraldbot or whoever this is, and that's just because if an item is in your inventory, it doesn't tell you that you own it, because it's obvious that you do. And same here, we can see that SF has an observer ward, which, by the way, is free. Lich had to pay money for this sentry ward, and if I am SF and I hand Lich this observer ward, what happens is this combines in his inventory into an obs and sentry pack. And I think it's coded like this, where you can see now it says owned by 3 or Grief, which is me. That's Shadow Fiend, the core. And so this whole pack, even if I switch it over so that the sentry comes first, it still says owned by 3 or Grief. And so if I deward with this, I go up here and I deward this ward. We'll go to SF's inventory. I will buy a bunch of crap on him so that way he has nothing. So we can see he has 30 gold on SF, or 33 gold. I go to deward this, and SF's gold increases to about 150. So that's a free salve for SF. That's an earlier bottle for SF. That's just gold that is straight up gifted from the support to the core. And the funny thing about this is you could technically grief your supports with this. If you were a core, you could just see that they have a huge stack of sentry wards in their inventory. And if you drag and drop an obs ward onto that stack, all of those sentries become owned by you as a core. And so if you're an anti-mage, you can get an earlier Battle Fury by having your support walk around and deward using anti-mage owned sentry wards that were really purchased by the Lich. And so that's pretty OP, that's pretty abusable. I expect that to get changed fairly soon, but as it currently stands, people have used this in competitive and people are using this at a high level, so it may be a glitch, but it seems to be an accepted one right now. The second trick that I'm going to show you is something that can be paired really nicely with this first trick to get your mid laner a really good start in the game. And so the way that this works is it's actually something that abuses the fact that the game now starts at nighttime. And the reason that this is important is because what a lot of people don't realize is that tier 1 towers have longer attack range than they have night vision, which means you can actually stand in their radius without getting attacked at night. So how does this help us at all? So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to get this Crystal Maiden and I'm going to drop a ward here on CM, and then I'm going to move her away so she can't see me. And so if I hold Alt and I walk up to the tower and I walk into the attack range and it starts hitting me, it means that there's a ward on me. And so this is a really easy deward. It's right here. This is a really easy way that people are currently abusing the mid lane tower range to deward wards mid. And, you know, technically you could do this in a side lane if you think that there's some sort of lane ward, but generally this is done mid because mids always drop wards. And so if you pair this with the first trick that I showed you, then the mid can go body block the creep wave while Lich or Crystal Maiden or whoever waits until the split second before the creep spawn, because that's very likely when the enemy mid is going to have warded, and then they could walk up and deward using this trick, and then the mid on their side gets to start with a free salve, or they're closer to their bottle, which is incredibly game-winning. The next trick that I want to show you is one of the most silly, ridiculous things that I've seen in Dota in a very long time, and this guy that I'm about to show you is actually the first guy that I saw ever do this. And since then, I've seen other people do it. I think T-Governor did it on his stream. I saw him tweet about it, at least. And so it seems like this strategy is picking up in popularity. So shoutouts to Kenny, whoever the hell this is. I actually don't know who this is, just some random guy I get in my pubs. And I think he's a Smurf, so I don't even know if his name is Kenny. But basically the strat is just messing with the enemy mid during their block. He literally just runs up, and he does this every single game. And this Kenny guy, he is ranking up very quickly with this bounty hunter hero. And he just fucks with the enemy mid, even throwing out an XD to mess with the enemy block. And you can see people are so used to this that this Nyx assassin is there. He's waiting for it. Like, they knew that he was going to do this, and the Death Prophet doesn't even try to stop him from doing this. Usually what this results in is, of course, the enemy mid loses a little bit of regen, and if your mid blocks, it means that they get a better block. And if they don't block, then it means that the equilibrium is going to be right in the middle, as opposed to the enemy mid having an advantage. And so your mid can go fight a rune without being at a disadvantage. So this strategy is really good, and it looks silly, but it's a very effective way to swing the mid matchup in your favor with very little effort. The final thing that I want to show you is 2 simple item tricks that I personally learned really recently, and I think they're so simple and they pay extremely high dividends in certain scenarios. So the first thing is, late game nullifier currently feels complete bullshit. So this works with all purges, but the thing with nullifier is that it's so annoying because it purges and then repurges and then repurges, and it keeps doing that until the duration. So that's very annoying, because if you have an item like Glimmer Cape, it doesn't work. Force Staff doesn't work. Yule Scepter doesn't work. If I refresh here, we can see that even Eon Disc doesn't work. I'm not protected with a damn Eon Disc. This thing is supposed to save me, but it's honestly just a complete waste of gold because of this nullifier item. And of course, this is true for most purges in the game. You can just purge all of these things, and it's very annoying. So the solution to this is actually in the neutral items. This new Trickster Cloak, which I think a lot of people think, it's pretty good. No, it's broken. It's legitimately one of the best neutral items in the game because it is not purgeable. There is nothing that you can do to purge this. If I refresh and then I attempt to nullifier this guy, I can just walk away invis, and there's nothing that he can do. And in the late game, where this guy's going to have a nullifier, he's not going to have the slots to carry detection. And the second thing that I want to show you is something that I learned from Gunner. I was watching 4Zoomers play. I saw him do this. I was very confused. So I asked him. He had an Aghanim Scepter in his inventory, and then he had the Aghanim Scepter Blessing recipe locked combining in his backpack. And so I asked him why he did this, and he said that you lose stats whenever you combine these and synth the Aghanim Scepter to your hero. So we can see here that if I combine, I have 66 damage right now, and then I combine, I have 56 damage. So I lost the stats for it. So what you should do is, in the late game, whenever you buy this recipe, you should leave it in your inventory locked until you actually need that slot for your next item. And Gunnar mentioned that it's something that he holds because maybe he needs a slot to pick up Roche, the Aegis, Refresher Cheese, that sort of thing. Maybe he needs the slot to pick up a gem, maybe a rapier, but basically he'll leave this thing locked until he absolutely needs that slot. Then he'll unlock it and use the slot. That's it for this video. If you guys could please make sure to leave a like down below and press the thumbs up button to leave a comment, that would be really helpful for me, because unfortunately, as you can see from my background, the lights have been shut off. I am running very quickly out of money, and you might be wondering, how do I have my computer running so that I can actually record this video right now and play Dota? And it's 50 hamsters running on 50 different hamster wheels right now, and that's very expensive to keep that many rodents alive. Let me tell you, it is very expensive, and I need to afford hamster food, so please make sure to leave a description, leave a like down below, so that way I can keep on doing this. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you in another video.